right down the field. I believe it was a 14-play drive. It was 12 or 14. Really impressive right out of the gate. And then Austin Romaine, he punched it in for the first score of the game. First and goal on the opening drive for the Hawks from the 3-yard line. They're going to give to Romaine. Romaine puts his head down and barrels his way into the end zone. Touchdown. An impressive opening drive for the Hillsboro Hawks. And not only that, they added on a nice little 2-point conversion there. Didn't know that they were primarily running the 2-point game. It makes it really interesting when they can actually convert out of the gate. North County, their first possession ended on an interception as it was Tyler Watson who picked off the Raiders' Nolan Reed. And that set up the Hillsboro Hawks at midfield. And a few plays later, Jackson Patterson, he got in for an 8-yard touchdown run. So early on there, Romaine Patterson, the 1-2 punch. Nathan, I know you've had a chance to see them. I'll tell you what, man, that's a fun combo that those guys have between Romaine bringing the thunder out of the backfield and then Patterson, a little scat back, bringing the speed out there as well.
If I took the roster away from you, would you think they're sophomores? I mean, they're just
exactly.
They're incredibly,
it is mind-blowing.
Yeah, they're incredibly gifted athletes. The way that they run the football. Romaine, especially though, to me, is the guy that's making the huge jump from freshman to sophomore year. He's almost Patterson's equal. And remember, Jackson went for 1,300 yards and 14 touchdowns last year. I think they've now got 2 of the best backs, not just in Jefferson County, but throughout the area.
And as you said, between those two, both sophomores, you add in Griffin Ray, the sophomore quarterback. That's a young backfield and a really, really good one at just sophomores at their age in school. So that's going to be a really fun team for the next couple of years. But they kept it rolling. North County, their next drive stalled out. So 16-0 Hillsboro. They got it deep, though. They got it down inside the Hillsboro 10-yard line, but they turned it over on down. So Hillsboro takes it back over. And then there was that man. He's been making plays all over the field. Quarterback Griffin Ray, he rolled out. He threw a ball up into the air, but that guy made a play. He wound up in the wrong end zone. Big third down here for North County. 3rd and 6. Hillsboro on their own 9. They're going to fake the pitch. Ray's going to roll out wide. He's got a couple of options. He's going to throw it up. It's picked up, and it's going to be taken back into the end zone for a touchdown. Carter Kekek knifed in front of the pass, and he took it all the way back. 9 yards for the score. Wasn't the longest interception return for a touchdown, but I'll tell you what, Carter Kekek is just an unbelievable athlete for the North County Raiders. 4 interceptions for Carter now through 4 games this season. I mean, he is as ball hawking of a defensive back as you're going to find.
I wonder how many sports Carter could play at the college level, like if you just picked it up.
Yeah.
Because I've never seen him do anything on any field or court that he doesn't excel at. He's just, like you said, he's not just a great player. He's a great athlete. He does everything.
Yeah, and so he had himself a nice play there. Took it back for a touchdown. North County, they get the 2-point conversion, 16-8 then. Hillsboro, they responded. They moved the ball down the field, and then Tyler Watson, nice little jet sweep. Took it 21 yards in the end zone late in the half. Failed 2-point try, had it at 22-8, and that's where it was at halftime. North County, they took the second half kickoff, and once again, they got deep into Hillsboro territory, but they stalled out. But the Hawks gave possession right back. A fumble recovery gave North County possession. And with another opportunity at a red zone possession, North County took advantage thanks to Clayton Chandler. Clayton Chandler, the deep man. They're going to toss it to him left side. Nothing but daylight as he walks into the end zone. Touchdown, North County. They go up the gut twice with Reed. Finally, they bring in the big boys, and they pitch it out wide to the speedy Clayton Chandler. His 4th rushing touchdown of the season. And with that, North County now back within 8. He's another guy for that North County team, a little scat back, and he does some good things on the backfield. So Clayton Chandler gets in. They didn't get the 2-point try, so it remained an 8-point game, 22-14. But then it was all Hillsboro the rest of the way, as it was Romaine and Patterson going back and forth as they both found the end zone once again to put the game out of reach. Ray under center. They're going to go to the short man, Romaine. Romaine through the first level inside the 5. He dives. He's in. Touchdown, Austin Romaine. From 11 yards out, the up man gets the rock, rumbles through traffic, and then leaps into the air, crosses the goal line, and the Hawks go up by 2 scores. Ray under center, Romaine the up back, Patterson deep. Ray will give to Patterson. Patterson powers through. He's into the end zone. Touchdown. Hillsboro tacks on another one, and it's now 34-14 with 3 minutes left in the ball game.
Brandon, was there something that happened that turned the game, or did Hillsboro start dominating a facet of the game, or did they just kind of keep playing consistent ball.
No, that was really it, man. It was really just a matter of Hillsboro kept running the football. They did all night long as Patterson and Romaine, those are your Applebee's and Farmington players of the game. And, well, they did it to the tune of 260 yards on 45 carries for those two. That's what they combined for. Also 4 touchdowns. So Romaine and Patterson, I mean, it was really their show. As I said, I mean, once they got that 2-point conversion, North County got into the end zone again. It was an 8-point game. You started to think, okay, maybe we're closing in a little bit, but North County was just running all over the place. Hillsboro was running all over the place. North County just couldn't stop the running game really all night long. And so even though North County was close, it never really felt as close as it ultimately wound up as Hillsboro was able to pull away late. And it wasn't just the offense for Hillsboro, it was the defense too, as Bill Saharski, he was certainly fired up after the game. His team allowed just 50 yards of offense in the second half to North County. So you had a really, really good offensive performance from Romaine and Patterson. You only give up 50 yards of offense on the defensive side. Really impressive performance by Hillsboro that night. And as I said, Hawks head coach Bill Saharski, he loved seeing his team's physicality on the defensive side.
They flew around the football. We really preach, at minimum 5 hats to the ball is what we always want. We want to make it hard for us to find individual tackles is basically kind of what we preach, and just be physical and keep at it and stay aggressive. We man press them at times, and our kids were physical at the line, and we got some disrupted some of their timing stuff, and I think that had a lot to do with their inability to complete passes in the second half.
Really impressive performance on both sides of the ball for Hillsboro, and a nice win over North County. They improved to 2-2 on the season, and they're going to be on the road next week in a game that Nathan will have the call of for this week. They're going to be on Friday. It's going to be Hillsboro going up against Festus. That's going to be a dandy of a game. After Hillsboro put together that kind of performance, I think they've shown people, it's always tough those first 2 weeks with Hillsboro playing those 2 tough teams, and Jackson in particular. Hillsboro is shown, particularly with this win against North County, they're going to be one of the better teams in the area this year.
They had a kickoff return called back in that first week against Northwest. If you put that back on the board, they only lose 37-34. You can make an argument they should be 3-1 against the competition they've played, which says a lot about how good they are. I knew after the first 2 weeks, it kind of felt like there was a 3-week stretch in their conference, the MAFC Red Division, that would determine how this league goes. It would start with this one, then you have Festus and Hillsboro, and then next week you'll have Festus and North County. Those are the 3 best teams in the league to me. And through one leg, I think we saw that game's a little bit closer than that final score showed. I think it also says a lot, though, about how that Hillsboro run game can wear down on you. If you don't have a lead or you're not tied going into it, they'll just run it down your throat and they'll make enough plays to pull away.
Yeah, certainly. And it's going to be a great matchup against a Festus team that has been really impressive in their own right here early on in the season. We'll talk a little bit more about that with Bill Saharski. He's going to join us later on in the program as we'll preview their game against Festus. North County, they're 2-2 now. As they lose, they're going to be hosting Agape Boarding School coming up on Friday. Let's move on over to our game on KREI. It was the game of the week as Chad Speaker. He had himself an absolute whale of a ball game. Farmington, they overcame a touchdown deficit 4 times in the game. Just kept on hanging around, kept on coming back, and they knocked off St. Dominic on the road by a final score of 29-28. Crusaders tailback Jackson Overton was the first one to score the first 2 times for St. Dominic.
Farmington able to stop Jackson Overton on a couple of carries. Overton to the right, Neal to the left side of the quarterback, who's back in the pistol, and he gives it to Overton. Overton, a big hole in the middle, takes a step, evades a man. Now he's to the middle of the field, and his speed takes over to the 20, to the 10, to the end zone. Touchdown, St. Dominic. A 37-yard touchdown run by Jackson Overton. There he gives it off to Overton. Overton with a tiny hole. He sneaks through, and now he's down the middle of the field. He might be gone. To the 30, to the 20, to the 10. The second big touchdown run by Overton. This time, 59 yards out. Just a sophomore, but he's a lightning bolt.
Oh, it sounded like it. I mean, the kid could obviously run.
He's 5'7", 140 pounds. And you think as a running back, well, that's a disadvantage, but he really uses it to his advantage because you don't need a much of a hole for him to get through. Plus, he hides behind his lineman, and he's so nimble. He can get to top speed so quickly. He's a good player. You could always say, well, he's going to be a great. No. He's a very good player right now. Even though he was a little bitty dude, they knew what he had talking to coach when he was in 8th grade. So, he's a really nice talent.
Yeah, and as you said, first 2 scores of the game for St. Dominic for Jackson Overton, but he was not to be outdone by quarterback for Farmington, Caden Files, as he responded with the longest play of the night.
Bodkin behind Files. 3rd and 3 for the Knights. He marks it out, and Files keeps it here. Breaks the tackle. He's got a first down and more. Looking for a block. Now he's off to the races. Files to the 40, to the 30, to the 20. They will not catch him. A 66-yard gallop for Caden Files. He broke a tackle at the line of scrimmage, got a good block, and after that, he was gone to the end zone. Farmington scores on its second possession, and they're an extra point away from tying it up. 5:45 remaining in the first quarter, and Caden Files breaks out a long one.
Well, it sounds like it was really the Overton and Files show. Overton with 20 carries, 165 yards, but only 16 in the second half. Caden Files, 28 carries, 189 yards. Both of those guys had some nice games.
Yeah, they were the two highlighters, really, and it was really an interesting matchup because St. Dominic came into the matchup averaging almost identical yards through the air and on the ground, and over 230 in each department. And so, you think, well, you always say, well, if you have great balance, you're hard to stop, right? For Farmington, they do it all on the ground, but it doesn't necessarily always work out that way because the game really reflected what those two teams were doing coming in because St. Dominic split it up again, 210 on the ground, 167 through the air. Farmington completed one pass all night. We'll hear that coming up. And it wasn't by the quarterback, by the way. So they did it all on the ground. But a triple option attack, run well, provides you balance. It just isn't air and ground balance. It's balance through the running game at all three levels.
Yeah, and obviously Farmington's defense was able to clamp down on Overton as well in the second half.
Got better. Both defenses got a little better.
Yeah, and as you may have heard earlier today, Caden Files was named our Applebee's Farmington Athlete of the Week, leading his team to a victory in this game and also racking up those 28 carries and 189 yards. But let's get to the finish in this one. As St. Dominic, they went ahead for the final time with an 8-yard pass from Gabe Seri to Tate Cross. Farmington got the ball back with 5:21 left and 68 yards away from the end zone. They melted the clock with a monumental 13-play drive, and then Farmington completed their only pass of the game when flanker Jake Bishop threw a reverse pass, and Brady Cook came up with the play of the night.
They're at the St. Dominic 21-yard line. Barnes goes in motion, Files a reverse play, and now a reverse pass. A pass down the field, and a catch at the 1-yard line by Cook. He was interfered with, but Cook hauled it in. Bishop threw it to him all the way down to the 1-yard line. A gain of 21 yards on the reverse pass, and Farmington has a first and goal at the 1-yard line. What a catch from Cook. 26 seconds remaining in regulation. The only other pass Farmington completed all night, they completed to the other team. So the only pass they completed to their guys was on that one from Bishop throwing it down to Cook. And Cook caught a ball almost identical to that in the opener against North County where he had a guy all over him. He was being pulled and shoved and grabbed. They threw a flag on pass interference, and he caught the ball that time, and he caught this one too.
Yeah, and let's hear from him as he'll take us through the play.
What happens is that the A-back will go in motion, kind of faking a Villanova. And what happens is the H-back, the left wing back, runs a 10 in corner route as the wide receiver comes over. The QB pitches to him, and it's a throw down field. So that's basically how the play works. Honestly, I got really scared because it looked short. So I was like, I tried my best to catch it, and I'm glad I came up with it.
Oh, certainly so. I mean, glad it worked out.
I asked him if he knew he'd been interfered with, and he said he really didn't even realize it because he was so locked in on trying to get to the ball.
And unfortunately, so Farmington got the ball down to the one miraculous play, and then it was Braden Bodkin as he punched it in 2 plays later with 14 seconds left in the game. And Farmington, this was where things got interesting. Originally, they decided to kick and go to overtime. The extra point was good to tie the game, right? But Eric Krupe reconsidered after a roughing penalty to the kicker gave him a chance to go for 2.
So you've got 4 wide receivers off to the left side. You've got Files under center. And you've got Braden Bodkin as the fullback. St. Dominic will deploy 3 defensive players to guard the 4 wide receivers over there. And Farmington's going to go with Kale Files for the 2-point conversion. And it gets shoved across the goal line by Braden Bodkin. And Farmington goes ahead for the first time all night. 29-28. They show a formation we haven't seen all year. Files has stood up at the goal line. Bodkin comes behind him. shoves him into the end zone, and the Knights are on top. 29-28, the first lead all night for Farmington.
It was the 14 seconds left in the game. I mean, that took some guts from Coach Krupe to make that call.
Well, and not only because obviously, as a coach, you know whether you're going to go for one or two before you ever score that touchdown, right? So he had his mind made up. And so they literally had to take point. They had a tie game. They knew they weren't going to lose this thing in regulation unless something really squirrely happens. So you have to have the courage literally to take that point off the board and then go for it again after that. And folks that are familiar with it, it was the old Matt Leinart, Reggie Bush. I'm going to shove you into the end zone against Notre Dame. Except the difference is it's legal now. So
so it worked out well. And as you would imagine, Farmington head coach Eric Krupe was thrilled with the win.
No doubt that was exciting. That was fun. Nobody ever was up more than 7 points. We didn't have the lead until I told our kids 9 seconds, but that was after the kickoff. We didn't have the lead until 14 seconds left in the game, but they were never up more than 7 points. It was tied for a big chunk of time there. It was just a heck of a football game.
Yeah, a heck of a game it was as Farmington comes up with a 29-28 victory over St. Dominic on the road. And there is always kind of that thought process, too, of when you're on the road, you go for the win, right? You don't send it to overtime. That's a little different.
That's the adage.
It's a little different at the high school level when you're not playing in front of an NFL-size or a college-size crowd, right? But the roughing penalty, I have to imagine, moving it up from the 2 to the 1 is really what made all the difference.
Oh, yeah, he said, at that point there was no question. And, I talked with Brady Cook, too, and he's, and I asked him, did you know you would go for 2 after that? He said, yeah, I knew everybody knew we were going to go for 2, and everybody knew the play. Which is, that's preparation. That's good coaching. They knew exactly what was going to happen. It's one of the best games I've covered in years. Just a tremendous game. Within 7 points all night, 2 very good teams, well played, very few penalties. Just a high-level football game.
And given that this team last year, this time, was still kind of just rolling through people left and right on their way to a really outstanding season, I think this is a positive. Anytime you get a chance early in the year to play a 4-quarter game, it helps you out because there are plenty of teams that just steamroll all year long, and they're not ready for a 4-quarter game when it matters at the end of the season.
Yeah, and Nathan, they needed to play better. They needed to improve and take a step forward to win this game, all the way to the end, and they did that in week 2. Now, give all the credit to Potosi's defense, but Eric Krupe just wasn't very satisfied with the execution of his offense and being held to 10 points. He's been much, much happier the last 2 weeks, and when you can do it right at the end, 5:21 left, and you have a drive that goes 5:07. That you could put that in the bank and maybe draw on that later in the year when you need it.
Yeah, really impressive stuff. Farmington improves to 4-0, remaining undefeated. They host Cape Central coming up on Friday. Chad will have the call of that game. St. Dominic falls to 3-1 for the first. Oh, they lost. They're 3-1 now. They fall for the first time this year. They're going to be hosting Fox coming up on Friday. We'll take our first time out, come back and look at our KJF game and our Sports Stream game. That's next here on the Tractor and Equipment Football Roundtable.
Make it a great family night at Applebee's Bar and Grill in Farmington. Hi, my name is Amy Cousins, General Manager of your local store. Maybe start out with a couple of appetizers. Boneless wings, onion rings, mozzarella sticks, spinach artichoke dip, chicken quesadilla. There's so much to choose from.
How many ads do you want or how long?
From the kids menu, then for yourself, choose one of our favorites. Steaks, ribs, seafood, pasta, we have it all. Go to Applebee's.com for the full menu and look for our happy hour prices. Doing good in the neighborhood.
Go ahead and do
Applebee's
4
Bar and
minutes.
Grill in Farmington.
The Jefferson County
Got it, thanks,
YMCA
man.
has adapted to help you stay connected and active. Hi, this is Samantha Robertson. We've enhanced our safety measures, improved our cleaning procedures, and expanded our virtual options to keep you connected at the Y, at home, or on the go. Members enjoy state-of-the-art fitness equipment, free group exercise and aquatics classes, discounts on paid programs including youth sports, swim lessons, childcare, and more. When you join by September 30th, you'll pay no joining fee and receive Y program bucks. Join online at gwrymca.org/join, call 636-931-9622, or stop by the Y today.
Hey, man.
Hey!
Not hey. I mean, hey, man. You can call me Hey, man, because this hay season, I'm ready to save all the area farmers cutting and baling hay money with the best equipment and repair department anywhere.
Jason, you don't fix and service equipment. You are Mower Man. And if anyone around here is Hey Man, it's Travis and Patrick. They have over 25 years of combined experience and are the most qualified, certified, and capable technicians around. They know how to keep the area farmers growing, mowing, and baling. The real Hey Man are Travis and Patrick.
Dirt Diva, I hate it when you're right.
Let me fix my crown. Queen of the Green, you mean?
Fleeks Equipment, we have the best Hey-Man.
Hey, men.
We have the best Hey-Man around. See us today, Highway 67 at the Leadington exit and Highway 32 in St. Genevieve. Or go online, fleeks.com.
Flex Equipment, let our family serve your family.
When it's all said and done, what really matters? For Serenity Hospice Care patient Jack, hospice isn't about giving up. It's not about the end. It's about right now. It's about spending precious time with the people we love.
Come on, Grandpa.
And the little moments that create lasting memories. It's focusing on what's important to you and remembering life is beautiful in all stages.
Whatever your educational goals are, you can achieve them at Jefferson College. With caring faculty, convenient locations, and award-winning academic programs, your future is Jefferson College's focus. To learn more, call 636-797-3000 or visit jeffco.edu for a complete list of degrees and programs. Enroll now.
For higher education, for higher expectations, Jefferson College, Jefferson College, and you.
From mailboxing to packing, the UPS store does everything for small business, including printing. Because running your own business means you're also in charge of marketing and promoting. And our printing experts can help with professional business
Hey,
cards,
someone there?
postering, all the inks to get people, well, buzzing. The UPS store.
Yeah, we're here, Hunter.
Every ink for small business. And of course,
Whenever I come back to the round table, do I play a bumper?
Yep, you play bumper.
Yeah, like a bumper when I come back or no?
Yeah, when you start the show, you didn't need the bumper. That was the only thing. But yeah, when you bring it back to us, you just play a bumper.
Dodge, Ram, or Jeep dealer
Kind of
offers.
fade it
Sure,
out a
you
little
can
bit.
shop around, and we're confident that you will come
God,
home
thanks, man. After this 30-second ad, you got come back.
lowest locally advertised price, and we guarantee it. So whether you see us first or see us last, we are the dealer that will give you the best no-roll deal and service anywhere. We are Lucas Smith Chrysler Center in Festus, or check us out at lucasmith.com.
We're back here live at Applebee's in Farmington. I'm Brandon Pavlina alongside the rest of the regional radio sports crew. We've got Nathan Gertz, Chad Speaker, and Stephen Cablet all hanging out with us. You can watch us if you go online to our Facebook page, MyMo Info Sports. You can also go to our YouTube channel, MyMo Info Sports, or just hanging out with us on J98. You can also pop over and hang out with us here at Applebee's in Farmington. Either one of those works, but let's get back into our recap of our last week's games. We'll jump over and check out Nathan's game as he saw the Festus Tigers taking on the DeSoto Dragons, and Festus came out with the win, but it was a little harder than they thought it might have been. 36-13, the final score there. Festus comes out on top. The game was scoreless midway through the second quarter. That was a tightly contested first half as the Tigers, they blocked a DeSoto field goal. And then the Tigers, they used a couple of big plays on the ensuing drive to finally break through and get on the scoreboard after Austin Anderson ran for 29 yards and Cole Rickerman completed a 41-yard pass to Casey Martin. Anderson, he found pay dirt.
Takes a snap, hand off to Anderson, straight up the middle. He will lower the shoulder and get in. Touchdown, Festus. Austin Anderson. And with 6.5 minutes left in the first half, Tigers lead DeSoto 7-0.
Oh, you talk about big plays. That's 70 yards in 2 plays.
Yeah, and that was kind of the interesting thing. I chatted with AJ O'Fale, the head coach, before the game, and we had talked through a couple of times before, and I went, well, is there anything you want to work on? Anything you want to get better at? Because they're scoring 40 points a game. They're giving up only 13. They've done everything well, it seems like, in their 3-0 start. And one of the two things he brought up that played a huge part in this was we haven't put a long drive together yet. We're a big chunk play offense. Until they got the chunk plays, DeSoto held them in check. And they were moving the ball really well. The time of possession battle was just dominated by the Dragons. The combination of Ethan Rising and Dominic Punjani running it did a really great job of just continuing to pick up first downs, holding on to the football, and limiting the amount of times that Festus got it. Once they did finally get a blocked field goal, though, they were able to finally hit the big plays. and that got them into the end zone and allowed them to go into halftime at least leading, if only 7-0.
Yeah, block field goal gives you a little momentum. You hit the chunk plays, you go into break feeling good. So as you said, it was only up by a score at the break were the Festus Tigers, but well, then they roared to life in the second half. They used the long kickoff return by Martin and another long run by Anderson to score once again. The Tigers, they led by as much as 22 on multiple occasions heading into the fourth quarter. And then Anderson, he iced the win with the Serenity Hospice Care play of the game.
I'll hand it off out of the shotgun to Austin Anderson. Runs between the left guard and left tackle. Breaks a tackle as he gets out past the 20. A juke move as he gets out past the 25. Turns the corner at the 30. 40. Gas midfield. Inside the 45. Breaks tackles inside the 40. Inside the 30. Inside the 20. Inside the 10. Into the end zone. Touchdown, Festus. Austin Anderson. 90 yards here in the late stages of this one. And with under 3 minutes to go, the Tigers put the dagger in as they're now up 35-13.
Well, he was already once our Applebee's of Farmington Athlete of the Week, and that young man, Austin Anderson, is awfully impressive, Nathan. He finished this game with 248 yards on the ground and was named the Applebee's player of the game. But, I mean, he is a tough guy to bring down.
Once he got going, the offense got going. And the big part of that was that he hit chunk plays and started to make some things happen running the football. And, I mean, he's 5'10 and 180, but that 180 is sculpted. He will run you over if you're not careful. And he's also got some decent breakaway speed, too. He's a really impressive kid and really fun to see a guy who didn't touch it a lot last year now become the feature back and just turning into a star here midway through his senior season to boot. Just exciting to get a chance to watch him week in and week out.
Yeah, really cool stuff there. And the Tigers, they did get in their own way a little bit in the game. They committed over 100 yards of penalties. So, geez. And they fumbled the game's only turnover. That's a little tough. That's a tough sled in there. And Coach O'Fonnell said that his team has to do a better job of zeroing in on each and every play and every opponent.
For us, it's how do you harness all that? How do you harness the emotion, keep your discipline, keep your focus where it needs to be? You know, really narrowing your focus is the most important thing. Just, and we just kind of sometimes get caught up a little bit too much in big picture stuff as opposed to what's my assignment on this play? Where should my eyes be? What's my first step? Just the really basic building block focus things where we need to get back.
Well, I would imagine he was frustrated with the 100 yards of penalties. That's pretty incredible that they were able to overcome it and win by such a significant margin because 100 yards of penalties would set any good team back.
I mentioned the pregame conversation where I said, what do you want to work on? The second thing he brought up was chunk plays, getting string drives. The first thing he brought up right away was penalties. That has been apparently their Achilles heel, it seems, through the first couple of weeks. And it's really good to see that, or I guess it's unfortunate that it was a problem again this week, but it shows you how just he knows that team inside and out already. It was a lot of, not just penalties, but on the defensive side of the ball, especially a lot of personal fouls, a lot of hits up around the helmet. So they come downhill and fly a million miles an hour. It's just a matter, it looks like, of getting that a little bit under control. And once they do that, and once they figure out a way to start stringing some more extended drives together, this has a chance to go from being a team that's off to a hot start to being an excellent football team, I think.
All right, well, very much looking forward to the game here. Festus 4-0 on the season now. They're going to be traveling to take on Hillsboro. As I said, you can hear that game on AM 1400 KJFF coming up on Friday. DeSoto, they're 0-4, and they're going to be looking to get their first win against Windsor coming up on Friday night. We'll go to our final game on the MyMo Info Sports Stream this week. Stephen Kapler, the man behind the computer, behind the camera on our Coles Tractor and Equipment Roundtables. There he is waving at you. He had the call, and this was one that we did not see going this way. St. Genevieve, they put a beat down on Potosi, 42-7 at home. St. Gen got their first win of the football season. The game, as I said, was heard on the MyMo Info Sports Stream. As St. Gen, they jumped all over the Trojans, scoring on the first play of their first two drives, and they went up 14-0. Zach Boyer, he had 139 total yards on just those two plays.
A man in motion, that will be a handoff to Zach Boyer around the outside. He's got some room across the 40 to 45 on his feet, 50. Out running, he's got one man to beat, 30, 25, 20, and he's gone. First play of the game. On the end around, Zach Boyer takes the ball 65 yards to the house. Looking to throw a quick throw screen, caught by Zach Ware. Looking for that same edge across the 30. Does he have it? He's got it. Oh my, here he goes. 40, 35, 30. No one's going to catch him. Greenfield, 2 plays, 2 touchdowns. Zach Boyer.
And so that's an impressive start, Steven. 2 plays, 2 touchdowns, and 139 yards for Zach Boyer. And I mean, they came out and punched Potosi in the mouth.
Yeah, I mean, that's really the only way you can say it. I mean, this Potosi defense has really been the calling card of the team all season. And whenever your first 2 plays you get, you give up 2 touchdowns, 139 yards of offense on 2 plays, all to one guy who's just a speedster out there, Zach Boyer. Just get him the ball in space and let him work. I mean, it's hard to recover after that, and really you'll see. I mean, Potosi never really did. Their first, I believe, their first 9 drives were either turnover on downs or punts, and then towards the end there was a pick 6 that sophomore quarterback Blake Coleman threw. But really, St. John had that game kind of wrapped up in the first 2 plays because you just deflate everything, every bit of energy and hype that you get if you're Potosi comes out in 2 plays.
When you're going out on the road, and I would imagine the St. Genevieve fans were pretty fired up too. And I mean, they've been having a hard time scoring all year long. So for the fact that they go 2 plays, get 2 touchdowns, I have to imagine the excitement, the energy was through the roof for St. Genevieve. And so, as you said, I mean, it puts Potosi in a difficult spot. And then lo and behold, they couldn't get a whole lot done, Potosi, on the offensive side. The defense was great for St. Gen. They put up 2 scores of their own. So the defense was showing out. It was Chatton Lay who intercepted sophomore Blake Coleman late in the second quarter, and then it was Caden Fly who intercepted Andrew Coleman in the 4th.
Here's the throw, picked off. Here's Blake Coleman, and no one in front of him. 20, 1 man to beat 10. That's a defensive touchdown. Shaitlin Lee with the defensive score. Pick 6 for the St. Genevieve Dragons. Just got to start slinging it downfield a little bit. There's going to be a throw, and it's going to be intercepted. And this one's to the house. That's Caden Fly. He's just got to beat the quarterback. He's going to cut it back across, and he walks into the end zone.
Forgot to say that he came flying across, Steven. I know you were bummed about that, but I'll tell you what, 2 defensive touchdowns for St. Gen. That's impressive, man. They really put together a nice performance in this one.
I mean, it was everything was working their way. Everything was going the way that they wanted it to. Offense was humming. Defense, anytime you can get 2 defensive touchdowns, you're gonna be happy about it. Shoot, you get 2 turnovers, you're gonna be happy about it. You turn those into quick points, and then your defense goes right back out there and gets another stop. I mean, everything working in the favor of the Dragons, and honestly, they needed it for this season. They were struggling real. I mean, obviously, the first 3 games, they played. So yeah, Festus, Valley, and Kennett. Very, very difficult games to play there, but coming in here and getting a big win against Potosi at home, really going to help these kids boost their confidence, I'm sure.
Well, Steven, I think the most encouraging thing about it is that even though they went up 14-0, take that away, they still won 28-7. I mean, they still mostly controlled the football game even after the fast start. They got off to a fast start against Festus in the season opener, and while they ran into 2 just juggernauts the last couple of weeks, I do not think this is a football team that's reflective of 0-3. So the fact that they started fast and they didn't just lose their sense of the moment and just held on and rolled through the rest of the game, I think that's the thing Ken White looks at and says, okay, this is a team that can keep doing this going forward.
And we had been considering perhaps last week that there was going to be a quarterback battle between Blake and Andrew Coleman, the 2 brothers. Blake, the younger sophomore who had a terrific game 2 weeks ago. Obviously, he came back down to earth a little bit Friday night, and St. Gen was a little bit too much for him to handle as they rotated both guys in.
Right, so I just that was going to be my next point, was also for the Trojans, there was that, at this point, I don't think it was necessarily a battle. I think it was more of not a confusion, but a situation where Dylan Wyrick, head coach Dylan Wyrick, had Andrew Coleman in reserve, older brother, senior Andrew Coleman, but he was just going to let the young sophomore get as many reps as possible, and then bring in the senior if they got in a hole. And before he could snap his fingers, they were in a hole. And so he was fighting back and forth. He brought in Andrew for a drive, and that didn't go well. So he put Blake back in to see if that chemistry from the 2 weeks of practice was going to work, and nothing was really working for this offense. So at the second half, Andrew Coleman came in for the rest of the way and still really couldn't get anything going against that St. Gen defense.
Yeah, it's just an impressive performance all around for St. Gen. And after the game, head coach Ken White talked about how his defense played.
Ryan did a good job scheming it and got everybody where they need to go. And it's a pressure defense. And our kids were hitting the holes they needed to hit and getting through where they needed to get through. And, they popped a couple of little runs early, and we kind of cleaned that up. And when our kids got to where they needed to go and played aggressive, I think the defense was pretty good. I told the kids there, that game was effort and will, and they came out and did what they needed to do. And that's the first time we've seen it like that, and I don't know, it took us a couple weeks to get going, I guess, but it was nice to do that, especially nice to do that here at home.
Steven, I remember listening to your full post-game interview on End Zone with Coach White, and obviously he was a happy coach, but he was, I think, the most relieved coach that we heard certainly this week.
I mean, he was, whenever a coach performs like this at a level where they're getting, like college or NFL, that's like the hot seat talk, right? So for a high school coach, it's like this season, if you don't get this win and turn it around, there's going to be some talk about what was this team? And so I think, there was more relief in his voice talking to him after the game. He was excited for his guys, and but he knows, and again, he's been preaching after the first 3 weeks. You can't get too low, you can't get too low. And we were talking to him afterwards, and he said he was going to let the young men enjoy this one, go out and enjoy their first win, but now the season's really beginning, right? Like, here, you get our first win, put those first 3 weeks behind us. Let's really flip the switch, flip the script, and get to it.
Well, it's not going to get a whole lot easier for St. Gen either. As they move to 1-3, but they are going to be taking on a really good St. Pius team coming up on Friday. It'll be St. Genevieve's homecoming. So we'll see how the Dragons fare against another really good opponent. Potosi, they fall to 2-2. They're going to be taking on the Central Rebels coming up on Friday. That should be another really good game as well. We'll take a second time out here and come back, and we'll look back around the rest of the games from around our listening area from this past Friday. That's coming up next. Stick around on the Kohl's Tractor and Equipment Football Roundtable.
Gilster Mary Lee Corporation is looking for capable professional drivers. At least 21 years old and truck school graduates are welcome. Paid hub mileage, downtime, holiday.
How long of ads do you want?
Medical and life insurance, vacation bonus, Christmas bonus, commissary privileges, plus a profit sharing program. Low turnover with a realistic first-year earning of $50,000. Apply in person at Gilster Mary Lee in Chester, Illinois, or call Mike Welker, 800-851-5371, extension 3246.
Hi, it's Hannah. At Kohl's Tractor and Equipment, we brought back one of the popular tractor deals from last summer. Customers keep asking for us to bring it back, so here it is. Get the 35 horsepower shuttle shift four-wheel drive diesel tractor with the front loader, the 5-foot brush hog, and the 5-foot box blade, plus the 18-foot deluxe flatbed car hauler trailer for only $21,495. Oh, but wait, you also get the free, that's right, you will get the free 2,700 PSI pressure washer and 2 ratchet tie downs. And of course, the best 6-year parts and labor warranty from LS, the major brand maker that you already know and love. So let me recap. Get the tractor, loader, brush hog, box blade, flatbed trailer, all for only $21,495. Plus the free pressure washer and 2 ratchet tie downs. Financing available on site. Just give us a call at 573 just outside of Farmington.
Mark Toady here with a look at my life away from. I don't make it out of the recliner, but if I do, I usually head over to my sofa, which also comes from Patsy's. And after a couple of hours of TLC with my recliner and sofa, it's off to bed, which, by golly, also comes from Patsy's Furniture in Park Hills. Hey, I love my furniture from Patsy's right off Highway 67 at the Parkway Drive exit, and you won't find better people to deal with than Chris and Jamie. It really is true. You'll love to shop at Patsy's.
Champions are made here. On our courts, on our fields, and in our classrooms. Why settle for ordinary when you could be part of greatness? Mineral area Howard. Become a Cardinal today.
This is Dr. Karen Nelson at Hearing Care Partners. We hope you don't miss a single thing this sports season.
Stop by for a free hearing screening so you'll hear every play and the person sitting right next to you. One of the best parts of the game is chatting with old friends and making new ones. We wish all our local players a safe and healthy sports season. It's Hearing Care Partners. Find us online at hearingcarepartners.com.
Have you ever needed to pay the babysitter and realized you don't have any cash on you? I know I have. Hi, Paul Hale here with New Era Bank, and our new app allows you to make payments anytime. You can pay anyone instantly with just a few clicks on your phone. Person-to-person payments, or P2P, saves both of you the hassle of having to deal with a check. Your account is automatically debited, and they get the money real time. Best of all, you don't even have to bank at the same bank. For more information, check out our website at www.newerabank.com. New Era Bank, member FDIC.
Purchasing a hot tub is one of the best decisions you can make for you and your family.
After this 30, I'm going to come back.
Manager of Home Pools and Spas in Ludington. There is nothing more rejuvenating than stepping into your own spa, transcending into luxurious and therapeutic relaxation. If you are considering purchasing a hot tub, I invite you to stop in and see what we can do for you. We are Home Pools and Spas on the outer road just south of Ludington.
Home is where the fun everybody's going. Home Pool and Spa.
Great tune, great times. We're here at Applebee's in Farmington. I'm Brandon Pavlina alongside the rest of the regional radio sports crew, Nathan Gertz, Chad Speaker, and Steven Kabler, the man behind the camera, behind the computer, making everything happen. We've also got Hunter back in the studio, spinning the dials. We appreciate Hunter back there. Let's go ahead and look around the rest of week 4 of the high school football season. We already told you about our broadcast games. Let's go ahead and check out the rest of the games that went down this past Friday over in Cuba. I think it's in Cuba, right? Central battled Cuba. Sometimes there's those schools that are in places where they're not what they're called. Stevens run into that a handful of times. Central was in Cuba taking on the Wildcats, and Central, they got a big win, 45-12 over Cuba. And Rebels head coach Corey Schweiss, he says they took advantage of opportunities in the game.
We started with the ball tonight and kind of stalled out on our first drive, but Justin Bridges was able to kick a 45-yard field goal to start the game. And then our defense did a pretty good job tonight for the most part. They had a couple really good players, but they kept getting the ball back to us, and we were able to put some points on the board.
Well, that Central football team, they seem to take advantage of opportunities every week. They're a darn good football team, and they're doing some really good things this year.
I think that they are going to have a shot now that we know this week for sure what the classifications are, and we're likely going to start to see some state rankings. I think they got a shot for top 10 in Class 3. They have looked deeply impressive. From what I had heard, this is about as good as Cuba's been in a long time in football.
They beat Jefferson.
Yeah, and Central went down. They beat a Sullivan rival team that they haven't beat for a long time. They went down there and just handled them, even on short notice. Once again, another opponent they kind of scheduled at the last minute. Corey Schweiss is just a real good football coach, but I mean, he has got some talent on that roster.
He sure does. Deshaun Welch is a beast. Jed Bridges is great, and that's just the start of it. You could go a laundry list of players on that team.
And they were a great defensive team a year ago, and it doesn't look like anything's changed this year.
Yeah, they've got great defensive coaches on that staff as well. I mean, they're just a well-rounded team, really all around. Coaches, players. Central's going to be a force to be reckoned with here over the next couple of years. They always are, and especially, as you said, classification coming out. Central is in the Class 3 District 2 with Potosi, Owensville, Salem, St. Clair, and St. James. So Central manages to avoid the Kennett Valley Catholic District. So that's going to give Central an opportunity to win another district and put themselves in a good spot every year going forward to do so as well, because certainly some good teams in there, but you avoid Valley and Kennett, you're in a lot better situation than you thought you were going to be in.
That's back-to-back tough games in the postseason, and now you start setting your sights on possibly that one seed in a district and maybe even a championship game appearance.
So Rebels with another win, they stay impressive this season. Talk about staying impressive. The Valley Catholic Warriors, we were talking about them last week, taking on an Orchard Farm team that has a quarterback going to Navy, going to a D1 football school. What does Valley Catholic do? They go out and roll Orchard Farm 67-0. 67-0. Valley Catholic is just in a class of their own right now, although they do find themselves in Class 3 now. But Warriors head coach Judd Nagger, he says it was a complete team effort in the win.
Heavily got things going for us in a long pass play, and then he had a big six as well. And then we just kind of spread it out from there. Corey Stoll had a score. Bryce Giesler had a couple touchdowns. Chase Pollard had a score. we just kind of mixed it up a little bit. And then Timmy Oakford had a great game on the defense side of the ball with 6. I think he had 6 tackles for loss, and he kind of led the defense tonight.
I mean, I don't know who's going to beat that team this year. They're going to have a handful of matchups later in the season that are certainly going to be ones to keep an eye on. But Nathan, we follow this team all the way down to their state championship last year. Me and you all the way through the playoffs. I think I don't know if you haven't had a chance to see them this year in person. I think they're better than they were last year, and that's saying a lot.
I think that there's a legitimate chance. I expected them to go and win. I didn't think 67-0 was coming.
I mean, unbelievable.
Orchard Farms had more success than that the last couple of years. It's worth noting they played a quarterback, like you said, that's headed to the Naval Academy. That means he's probably a triple option guy, first and foremost, and that means you have to stop the run. All the flash and dash for this team is at the skill positions, and that's where most of their returners came back. They're kind of new up front. And you heard Coach Nagger talk about Tim Oakenfuss going out there, putting up 6 tackles for loss and just dominating in the trenches. If they have taken the leap to where they already knew they were going to be a Class 3 team up front, then yeah, I agree with you. They're probably better than last season.
Yeah, it's going to be fun, man. As we said, they're in that district now with Kennett. It's going to be a tough district for Valley Catholic. Class 3 District 1, Valley Catholic, St. Genevieve, Fredericktown, Dexter, Donovan, and Kennett. So Valley maybe getting a little bit of the short end of the stick there, but they were certainly pretty pleased with the way they performed on this past Friday with a big win over Orchard Farm. Keep on moving it down. We'll go to Perryville as they got another nice win. And Coach Blaine Boss, he was happy. 35-30 was the final score there. Perryville over Malden. And as I said, Coach Boss, he was happy with the offensive output, not so much on the defensive side.
We just kind of held on to the football late and made some big plays when we needed to, picked up a couple first downs, and our quarterback, Evan Doherty, had some big runs for us, and he kind of sealed the game for us. But overall, offensively, I mean, it was what it is. Defense got a lot of work to do, and kind of leave it at that.
Well, he's going to leave it at that. Defense has some things to work on, and you know what? In a victory, obviously, there's a lot of things to be positive about, but Coach Boss is looking at that 30 spot that Malden put up and saying we could do better than that.
Yeah, I think that it's one of those things where he's a straight shooter, so he'll always let you know what he believes about his football team. And the big thing right now is that guys like Evan Doherty and Dawson Camden that came back on the offensive side of the ball, they're playmakers. It's just a matter of being able to find a way to get a couple more stops.
I mean, they may not have been at their very best, but I think it's really hard, as a football player. Oh, we're going to play this week? Okay, we're not going to play this. Okay, we're going to play this week. I mean, the coaches are such detailed guys, and they have their routines, and that filters down to the players. And without a definite team to focus on that week, and you don't know if you're going to play, I think that's a difficult position to be in. And so for Perryville, maybe not at their best, but I think winning is maybe good enough that week.
Winning cures a lot, and certainly even in giving up 30 points, Coach Boss obviously very happy with the way his offense played, and so he'll be leaning on those positives, I'm sure, this week and focusing on where they can improve on the defensive side. But Perryville certainly doing some good things over the last few weeks, so they got a nice win over Malden. Keeping it moving, a good matchup that we were expecting to see between Fox and Northwest was, but Northwest failed to put up any points in the ball game. Fox won 26-0 against a really good Northwest team. That was a matchup we were really looking forward to, Nathan. I think it shook out pretty much how we thought it would. Northwest is a really, really good football team. Corey Tenyus has them really trending in the right direction, but Fox is still a really, really impressive team in their own right.
Yeah, that defense especially is outstanding. Luke Busoni is an all-state level talent at the linebacker position, leading the way, and it sounds like their defensive line has just gotten better this year, which is no surprise because Brent Tinker's a line coach. He wants to win games in the trenches. That's why he runs the triple option. He loves the big uglies, and they got plenty of them there at Fox.
Yeah, impressive win. 26-0 for Fox over Northwest, and Fox head coach Brent Tinker, he breaks down how they were able to execute their game plan.
We always try to, with what we do, I talked to a few people earlier tonight, and they were asking, how do we get different people the ball? And really right now we're a triple option team, and we try to be a servant to the system, and whoever ends up getting the ball gets it. Tonight, Jacob Waters really had a good game. He had a great second half, but pretty good game at fullback. And that's because Brock Edmonds making those good decisions and pulling the trigger and making the correct read.
Fox continuing to roll along here this year. Couple more games on the docket here this week. Crystal City with an impressive win over Agape Boarding School, 30-19. And also Kennett, They went down and they took on St. Pius, and Kennett got the better of the Lancers. But that was on, it might not have even been 24-hour notice. It was very, very short notice for Pius to go and take on Kennett. Kennett beat him 46-0. But that, as I said, was one that Pius picked up less than 24 hours of notice with the cancellation of Jefferson. So tough going there. But Coach Oliver, he was still pleased when we talked to him. Don't have a cut for you, but he understood the kind of the picture that they were in there, and that he felt like that they could have performed better, but wasn't devastated by the loss to Kennett. But that was the rest of the scores from around the area. Let's go ahead and go through our big winners of the week. We had a handful of teams that did some really, really good things and got some really impressive wins. Anybody want to start it off?
I got to start with Crystal City. That is the first victory for them since 2018. So not as long as you would think, but consider that came at the very end of the regular season against Grandview. They've lost 13 in a row since then. Before that, they had lost 19 in a row at least because they had gone winless the season before. That's a program that just doesn't win games very often. So to get even the one, Dan Fox must just be ecstatic. And to play as well as they have defensively, too, that's been their big Achilles heel. They just haven't been able to stop anybody. To hold Agape to 19 points, I'm sure they're just on cloud 9 after that.
Yeah, I would imagine so. I mean, listen, you have to get the building block wins in order to really get the interest in the program, to get the players from the school coming out and wanting to be involved with the football team. And so every win's impressive and certainly big for Crystal City. So a shout out to the Hornets, and they're the big winner for Nathan. Steven, who do you have as the big winner of the week?
I mean, it's got to be the Dragons at St. Genevieve, man. Getting the first win of the season. Being able to, as Coach White, being able to look at his guys and be like, look, guys, I told you after every game that we played that we lost, that we're a better team. We're just playing really tough teams. And now he can look at it and say, look, I told you. Those first 3 games that we played were some of the best teams that we're going to face all season. And now we're playing some other competition, and we're good. We're good enough to beat them. So they just got to keep rolling. I think getting the first win of the season at home, going into homecoming next week for St. Gen, if they can add on to that and compound those wins together, I think that they're going to be sitting pretty for the rest of the season.
Yeah, nice win for St. John. So they are Cabler's big winner. Chad, who is your big winner of the week?
Well, I mean, I do agree with Steve. I mean, that's a great win for St. Genevieve, even the way they did it. But to go another way, I'll homer it up a little bit, and for Farmington,
of course,
going on the road, a late opponent, like you were talking about earlier, an undefeated, very good St. Dominic team, and just the way they did it. Coming back from a touchdown deficit 4 different times. The last time with 5:21 left, they drive the length of the field, score with 14 seconds left, go for 2 for the win, and pull it off. So I thought that was a terrific win. Doesn't mean anything in terms of conference or really chest pounding in terms of rivalry or the area, but nevertheless, a very nice win for them.
Yeah, really impressive win for Farmington. Listen, man, I think that's 2 out of 4 for you so far that you picked Farmington as your big winner, but they've had some impressive wins.
Well, I think the opener in North County, I think, was the other one.
Big win against the cross town rival, and then of course, listen, hey, you go down to win a game on a 2-point conversion with 14 seconds left. Guess what? You're allowed to be the big winner that week. So I'm down with that. For me, I'm going to go ahead and pick the Hillsboro Hawks, man. I know that it wasn't maybe the most impressive win. They beat a North County team that they have beaten in the past, although North County has beaten them a couple of times recently. But that's a great conference win for the Hawks. It's a really good momentum win for them, facing some teams that are more on par with their level of competition and maybe convincing their players, giving their players some more confidence, feeling like, hey, we're as good of a football team as we think we can be. So a really impressive win for Hillsboro. I just thought Romaine and Patterson were just such a fun tandem to watch on Friday night. So Hillsboro is going to be my big winner of the week. And we're going to hope to hear from Coach Saharsky on the other side of the break. Big winners, Nathan, Crystal City, Cabler, St. Genevieve. And for Chad, he's got Farmington. I've got Hillsboro. Those are your big winners of Week 4 in the high school football season.
I like the Hillsboro call. We've seen it in years past against Hillsboro. Them make it turn based upon their schedule. I mean, Northwest we know is a good ball club, and that was a close game. You can throw Jackson's going to be right in the mix for a state title in the Class 5 level. But going out and then hammering Central in response to that and the way they took care of North County, that's a huge turn to go 0-2 and then 2-0 the way they haven't been able to do that.
I think it builds a lot of confidence for your football team. You understand when you lose to a Jackson opponent early on in the season and a Northwest team that's really good as well. But when you start playing the opponents that are more on par with you, you need to beat them. And so far, Hillsboro has shown that they're capable of doing it and doing it handily and doing it in impressive fashion. And so I think that would bode well for the team going forward.
And something Nathan mentioned too earlier, doing that going into the Festus game. It's not only the fact that they have done it, but going into the Festus game, they need to have done it.
Definitely. Yeah, an impressive conference win for the Hillsboro Hawks. And as I said, we're going to hope to hear from Bill Saharsky on the other side of the timeout. Indeed, we will. So we'll take a break. When we come back, we'll be joined by the head coach of the Hillsboro Hawks, Bill Saharsky, and hopefully a couple players as well. So stick with us here on J98.
America's tastes go from sea to shining sea. But this summer, American taste buds will unite around steak. Whether for a barbecue or dinner for two, steak answers the call with plenty of sizzle.
2 minutes.
So raise your grilling tongs. Salute an American icon. And together proclaim, United We Steak. Join America at UnitedWeSteak.com. Beef, it's what's for dinner. Funded by beef farmers and ranchers.
Country Health Center is still available to meet your health needs. We will continue to follow recommended guidelines and practice social distancing for the safety of individuals served and staff. Behavioral health appointments will continue virtual visits and begin in-person visits. Primary care is providing virtual and face-to-face visits and child immunizations. Dental care will continue providing emergency assistance and comprehensive exams and cleanings. Please contact your office of record for additional visit information. Thank you for your patience as services are being modified to meet the needs of our community.
For more than 80 years, Prairie Farms has been the name trusted by more consumers for quality dairy.
Give me another
Reach for
minute
the
and
best
breaks after
reach
this.
For Prairie Farms, whole yogurt made with 100% real milk. Rich and creamy whole milk yogurt and flavors you're sure to love. All the natural flavor you're looking for and none of the artificial growth hormones, flavors, and colors. Whole milk yogurt made with 100% real milk. Only from Prairie Farms.
Add the taste of fresh produce to your table when you shop Richard's Produce in Festus. All the season's freshest fruits and vegetables like Missouri-grown watermelon and apples, homegrown Amish tomatoes, and homegrown veggies. Stop in and pick up fresh-cut produce and coming soon items for your fall decorations, from pumpkins, gourds, corn stalks, and straw to mums in a variety of colors and sizes. For farm fresh produce any time of year, stop by Richard's Produce, just off Veterans Highway on North Creek Drive in Festus. Look for their Red Barn building, open 8 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Hey, we'll let you know when we're ready to come back. Just go ahead and
been the
keep going.
trusted real estate advisor for over 60 years
Okay.
in the mineral area. Hi, I'm Kim Hudson, owner of Coldwell Banker Holsey Real Estate. No one has helped more people buy or sell real estate in our community than the agents at Coldwell Banker Holsey Real Estate. We are proud of the community in which we live and serve. Contact us today for all your real estate needs. Find us on Facebook or online at coldwellbankerholsey.com. Coldwell Banker Holsey, we would love to be your realtor.
Parkland Health Mart Pharmacy goes the extra mile for you literally every day with our free delivery service to your home or workplace Monday through Friday. Our drivers are running around your neighborhoods bringing our first-class service right to your door, in town, out of town, and all around. So don't hesitate to take advantage of our always free delivery service. Google Parkland Health Mart to find and call the location nearest you. With stores in Deloge, Farmington, Fredericktown, Ironton, and Piedmont, we've got you covered. Parkland Health Mart is always caring for you and about you.
Cozy Memorial Chapel has been serving Farmington and the surrounding communities since 1864.
All right, I will. Thanks, man.
Their commitment of service to the community is deeply rooted in Missouri history and is the foundation for everything they do today. John Cozine is proud to be the fourth generation to operate Cozine Memorial Chapel and is proud to support Farmington High School. Cozine Memorial Chapel, serving families for generations at 217 West Columbia Street in Farmington.
Welcome back here on the Home Pools. Oh my goodness gracious. I am in a different date at a different time. We are on the Applebee's of Farmington Coles Tractor and Equipment Football Roundtable live from Applebee's in Farmington. Third try is a charm.
Coming for you.
Buy tractors. Buy tractors.
Buy the tractors.
Buy tractors.
They're great vehicles.
The Coles Tractor and Equipment Football Roundtable live from Applebee's. And we're joined now by the head coach of the Hillsboro, Bill Saharsky. Hey, Coach, how you doing, man? We appreciate you hopping on with us.
I'm doing pretty good. How are you guys?
We're hanging in there, man. So let's talk a little bit about this big matchup that you guys had last week. Big win over North County, an impressive performance, and the running game was just awesome, really all night long, man. Tell me a little bit about what it's like having that tandem of running backs back there with Patterson and Romaine, a little thunder lightning, what that's given you the ability to do over the last couple of seasons.
Oh, both those guys are special kids. We're glad that Austin's healthy for us this year. They're both really competitive with one another. They like to outdo each other, so it's a good friendly competition. Those kids have been playing football together since they were really, really little, and it's a great opportunity to get to coach those guys. They're two great, hardworking kids. They're two very good student athletes for us, and the sky's the limit for them as players.
And Steven says Jackson is actually there as well. So Jackson Patterson is here. And Jackson, I want to hear from you, man. I had a chance to catch up with Austin after the game the other night, but I was a little slow getting down there, so I didn't get a chance to catch up with you. But you were half of our Applebee's of Farmington players of the game. An impressive showing for you. Want to know for you, man, how cool is it to have you and Austin be like a thunder lightning combo back there? How cool is it for you two to be both sophomores with Griffin Ray a sophomore as well and be really leading this Hillsboro offense at such a young age?
I mean, it's pretty awesome. I mean, I've played with him my whole life, so I trust in my quarterback and running back. And I know Austin will do his job, and I know Griffin will fulfill his job. And as long as we run as hard as we can, I think we're pretty set for the rest of the year.
Coach, when you had a chance to go back and look at the film the game against North County, what was it that you liked the most about what your team was able to accomplish that night? Was it the way that you guys blocked the ball or blocked the runs in order to get 260 rushing yards for those two guys? I mean, what did you like the most?
I really like the physicality of our play on both sides of the line. I know our backs. I know with Austin and Jackson and Tyler Watson that those guys are going to run hard when they get the ball. And so we challenge our offensive line every week. We tell those guys that, we have talent back there. You guys just got to make sure you stay on your blocks and let those guys run. And hats off to those guys for being as physical they were up front, both offensively and defensively. And the one thing I told the guys from when I got the job here is I want to make sure we're a hard-nosed physical football team and that when we play people, they recognize that and just bring that style of football on the field every Friday.
Well, when I had a chance to catch up with Coach Jones after the game, I told you in our post-game interview, he said you guys were the most physical team that they had played all year long. So that was certainly a big compliment for you guys, and it showed out on the field. But going back to you, Jackson, real quick, I want to talk about your running style a little bit, man, because every running back runs it different. Some guys use their speed. Some guys use their power. How would you describe your mentality and approach when you get the football in your hands?
Run through anyone in my way, and I feel like I can see who's all around me, and I feel like I know where everyone is around the field at all times. So, I mean, I don't think my speed or my ability to run through someone's a problem. So I feel like I play hard-nosed football and really physical.
And you know what? Your coach can do a lot of great job as far as complimenting the offensive line and the guys up front. But you know what? It means a little bit more, I think, coming from the guy toeing the rock. So what can you tell me about your offensive line and what those guys are able to do for you up front, carving out lanes?
I mean, I feel like as long as the practices that prior week are good and they're sustaining their blocks in the game, the blocks will be sustained, and I'll be able to hit my holes.
So you trust your offensive line is what you're saying. You trust those guys up front?
100%.
It's good stuff.
Coach, I want to talk a little bit about the 0-2 start to the season and heading into Cape Central, backtracking a little bit. This is a bunch on the offensive side especially, where Jackson and Austin and Tyler Watson, they all got to play quite a bit a season ago. In sort of a two-part question, how much did that matter, you think, to decide to get their mentality in the right place to where they could turn around and beat Cape Central? And that said, what are the things you're telling your team 0-2 and going up against a team that you face year in and year out in districts and has kind of been a thorn in your side?
Well, first off, we told our kids after our 0-2 start that they're still a good football team. They have to believe in their own ability. I think a couple plays went wrong against Northwest. I think we could have easily won that game had we had one or two different plays go our way. Botch snap and everything hurt us earlier on. We kind of got out to a slow start, but I thought in the second, third, and fourth quarter of that game we outplayed them. But if we could have had that first quarter back, I think we might have been able to get the W that night. And then to play Jackson, our kids, we've played Jackson for 3 years now. They're one of the top teams in the state, not just in our area. And, I'm very confident. And when we told our kids after that Jackson game that, no disrespect to anybody else left on our schedule or even in our district or anything, but we feel that Jackson's probably the best team that would be on our schedule for a very, very long time. We could go, if we made a run at the playoffs or anything, that we still might not find a team that's as good as good as Jackson. So our kids know that. They understand that. They understand that our schedule's tough. We end the year with Borgia and Poplar Bluff, which are two good programs as well. And we kind of pride ourselves on playing people who are going to challenge us and make us a better football team, not just go out there and try to find games that we know we can always win every night.
Jackson, we talked a lot about offense. I want to switch to defense because I know you're playing on that side of the ball too with your buddies Austin Romaine and Zach McNeese, who's having a really outstanding career and a nice start to his senior season. You guys have played really well on that side of the ball, and in the second half especially, you took it to North County this past week. When you guys are going good on defense, what do you think you're doing well?
I feel like our physicality is better than any other teams that we face. I feel like we really, truly this year picked up. I feel like last year, I was a cornerback, and now beginning of the year, I moved as an outside linebacker safety, and now I'm a full safety, and it's a lot different kind of football I'm playing as a cornerback, and I love it. I get to get in there, and we get to hit people.
Coach, one other thing before we move on to Festus. We talked about Austin Romaine emerging. I think in terms of just a jump, he has gone light years from where he was as a freshman. He was an impact player for you, but he's really become the 1-2 punch with Jackson on offense. And on defense, I get these crazy stats every week about 5 or 6 tackles for loss at that linebacker spot. How great has it been to have him just make that huge jump in year 2?
Oh, I'll say this. Austin last year, I think he missed 5 or 6 games. He got hurt right after got hurt in the Festus game and played through it and tried to play through it against Windsor the next week. And within the first 2 or 3 plays of the game, his shoulder wasn't right. He came out. We didn't get him back to Poplar Bluff. And I know if you ask Jackson right now, all that did was just basically hide Austin from a lot of people last year because he would have gotten a lot more carries. He had some big runs against Festus last year. And we knew he was a special player last year. And he's continued to grow. He's gotten a little bit bigger from last year. And he's definitely a kid who he's talented enough to play at any one of our backfield positions, and we'll move him around at times. I know against Cape, when Jackson had some cramping issues, Austin, we put him back at the A-back and fed him the ball instead of playing the B-back for us. And he was able to tote the rock that fourth quarter and kind of finish that game off for us. So he's an incredible player, both offensively and defensively. He flies around. He plays with a relentless attitude and effort. That's one thing I know with those two guys, that we never have to question their effort. Even if they make a mistake, they're still making it with 100% effort, and that's okay because they'll make up for it given that effort.
Moving on then to talking about this week and getting Festus to come into town in what is a huge game in the MAFC Red Division. What's the immediate thing that jumps out when you've begun your preparations for the Tigers?
They're a very athletic football team. They've got a really good running back in the Austin Anderson kid, number 5 for them. They got a quarterback who can throw the ball pretty good. I think he's thrown for 10 or 11 scores on the year so far. So they're very talented there. They got kids who you got to be able to tackle in space defensively. That they run the football, they fly around, and so our kids. It's another challenge for our kids this week to play another very good football team early here in the season. And they just know that the task at hand is you got to corral those guys, corral their playmakers, and hopefully be able to contain those guys.
Jackson, a season ago, you got a pretty good win over these guys. You handled them at home, and that was the start of an outstanding run in conference play. However, you did come up just short of going unbeaten in league play, courtesy of a really wild game with North County. Now that you've gotten over the hump and gotten your revenge on the Raiders, how much does it matter to you guys to continue to win and have a chance to win the MAFC Red Division outright this year?
It means everything to us. Our team hasn't really went better than 4-7 or 4-8 in the past 3 years. And me, my friends, and everyone on the team right now, I know wants to beat that and perfect our season. And I really feel like this year we have a shot, and our effort is going to be there.
I guess the last thing I would ask then for you, Coach, is you talked about the skill that they have. What are the just sort of messages that are already in place? I won't ask you to reveal all the secrets, but what are the platitudes that are out there about this week and about trying to continue the momentum you've built here at the midway point of the season?
Well, obviously with the year, the uncertainty with the whole COVID situation, we've really preached to our kids to take one day at a time, to look at every day as an opportunity to get better. Coaches always, we always say that, but it has a special meaning this year because you just never know with, other programs that aren't getting the opportunity to play right now. And they have to really love practice and then hope for the opportunity to get to play that Friday. And then when Friday shows up, play it like literally it's the last Friday we're going to get to play this year. And as long as our kids do that and look at it that way, we say it to kids every year because, in football, the unfortunate thing is you are one injury away from not getting to finish a game or, get a bad enough injury where you don't get to finish the season. Jackson will tell you we have a kid who's a senior he's going to miss his last 2 years. That rusher is a sophomore who hurt his knee twice and hasn't got to play a football game in 2 years. So you want to just preach that, hey, play this game, be blessed that we're out there, get to play it tonight, and give your best effort because there's nothing guaranteed in the game of football from week to week.
Yeah, I doubt there's a lot of lack of motivation in this one. It has a chance to be one of the bigger ones in the area. And I'll close by asking you then, Jackson, obviously probably going to have to carry it a lot this week yet again in order to win. That said, is it becoming a race between you and Austin in terms of who's going to have the bigger game? And if so, are you willing to go ahead and put the prediction on the table right now that you'll at least outplay your buddy this week?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like every week I run as hard as I can. I also feel like my best friend does too, and a friendly competition is what makes me better, and to strive to be better than my best friend. It's nothing personal or nothing. I mean, it really makes me a better football player, and I'm sure it makes him a better football player. But, yeah, I think I got him this week.
That was a very nice answer. I figured I'd hear something along the line.
Diplomatic. Yeah, I mean, to the point. I mean, good stuff, Jackson. I like it.
Yeah, I figured I'd hear something along the lines of, yeah, I'm going for 300 this week. But we certainly wish you guys the best of luck. We look forward to being out there and what should be in front of a packed crowd wearing a lot of Hawks blue. Congrats on the momentum you guys have built, and look forward to seeing you Friday night.
For sure. Thank you, guys.
Alrighty, head coach Bill Saharsky of the Hillsboro Hawks, Jackson Patterson, one of their starters at running back and at linebacker, the sophomore regional radio dream teamer last year as a running back as a freshman, joining us here on the Kohl's Tractor and Equipment Football Roundtable again. Jefferson County Friday Night Football, that will have one as big as this. Festus at Hillsboro for first place in the MAFC Red Division. And we're going to talk about that game and all the other games on regional radio airwaves and all the games throughout the area in Week 5. Coming up in just a minute when we wrap up this edition of the Kohl's Tractor and Equipment Football Roundtable live from Applebee's in Farmington right here on J98.
When looking for quality, dependable pre-owned cars, trucks, and vans, and with multiple loan options, don't forget to ask about special internet cash pricing on select vehicles. That's Action Auto Sales in Steelville at 204 Main Street or on the web at actionautosalesmo.com or call 573-775-2222. That number again, 573-775-2222. That's Action Auto Sales in Steelville.
I saved big money with the Progressive Home and Auto Bundle, so I finally bought that new set of golf clubs. Watch out, Fairway. Here I come.
This is not a real testimonial. Sure, customers can save big with Progressive, but your other expenses won't just disappear. Are those clubs going to help you win the
What are we looking like on ads?
Also, it sounds like your money is better spent on golf lessons.
Time to go shoot the course record.
No, but maybe time for a reality check. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates.
Welcome back here to the Kohl's Tractor and Equipment Football Roundtable, live from Applebee's in Farmington. That time it rolled off the tongue a little bit easier, boys. I'm here with Nathan Gertz, Chad Speaker, and Stephen Kabler, helping to bring you all the sights and sounds here from Applebee's in Farmington. You can come out and join us. Packed house earlier. Things are starting to thin out a little bit. You can come right in, grab a table, come hang out with us. You can get some delicious food. And we're talking football here for a little while longer as we're going to wrap up the Week 4 edition of the Kohl's Tractor and Equipment Football Roundtable by looking ahead to Week 5 coming up on Friday. We'll tell you about our games that we're going to be calling on our stations. First, we'll start off with the game that's going to be broadcast on J98. It's going to be St. Vincent at Perryville. A chance for Tim Schumer to be on regional radio airwaves for the first time this year with his 2020 edition of the St. Vincent Indians after they came out with losing their first 2 weeks of the season. Tough game against Valley. They get a good win this past Saturday. So they're coming into this one 1-1. Looking forward to that matchup with Perryville. Always got to love the St. Vincent Perryville crosstown matchup the battle for Perryville, if you will, on the gridiron on Friday night.
We had a chance to go do that game
We
last
sure did.
year, and you and I both said, especially given that St. Vincent has a slightly smaller field, my goodness, there are so many people here. And
There's a lot of people.
They were invested, which that just makes me sad right away now because the COVID-19 era makes that a little bit harder. That said, anybody that's in the stands is going to be into it and excited. And Stephen, you had a chance to see this Perryville team a couple times, and or at least the win over Windsor, and they obviously have some playmakers that came back in Evan Doherty and Dawson Camden. I think you throw into that the motivation of having missed a week this season, the extra motivation of losing such a tightly contested rivalry game last year. They are going to come out with their hair on fire. It's a question of St. Vincent will do the same thing.
Right. I think watching this team and of course going back to what Chad said earlier, the will we, won't we, won't we was this Perryville team during their time off, did they stay, in shape? Were they working out that week? How are they going to look going into this game? Because I believe the mindset for the team is going to be hair on fire. Let's go knock them in the mouth. But are they going to be able to execute that? And if they've been able to keep up with all their programs and all that, I think this game can shape up to be a whole heck of a lot of fun.
Jacob Vincent will be on the call for that one on J98. St. Vincent at Perryville on KREI. Chad Speaker, as always, will be on the call. Cape Central at Farmington. Cape Central lost to Hillsboro earlier this year. Farmington obviously remaining undefeated. What do you expect of this one, Chad?
Yeah, a SEMO North matchup. Cape actually, they did not play the first week. They had a St. Louis school and were not able to get an opponent to reschedule that one. So, they got into their action a week late. A win in week 2 and then back-to-back losses. The Hillsboro one you mentioned, and then Jackson. Of course, you kind of throw that out a little bit when you play Jackson. But Cape, a little bit of a younger team that graduated a lot of starters last year. So trying to find their footing for Farmington. What makes an option dangerous is if you have weapons at each level. And Farmington will come into this game in week number 5, and they will have 2 guys that average over 100 yards rushing a game. And that's your fullback and your quarterback. So your first 2 levels of your option. The third level is largely split up between a lot of different wingbacks. So they split the yardage there. So I think Farmington is playing their best offensive football right now, and their defensive football has been pretty tough all year long. I think Farmington can take care of business in this homecoming game. I think it's going to be maybe another year or 2 before Cape is able to catch back up with the Knights. We will see. I'm not necessarily predicting any type of victory, but I think Farmington is setting a little bit better right now than Cape.
I will say, if there was ever a motivated opponent, it'd be the one that's lost by a combined 94 points the last 2 weeks. I know they probably feel, given how the history the last couple of years, that they are a better football team than back-to-back big deficit losses like they suffered. Yeah, it's Jackson. Yes, Hillsboro's a good football team. Cape Central feels like they should be more competitive in those, and I think they're going to at least show up with a lot of effort this coming week.
Yeah, and and you're talking about pride. This is a team that a few years ago thought that they would beat Farmington whenever they wanted to. Cape was in the midst of an 8-game winning streak in this series, but now it's Farmington that's won the last 3 games. So yes, Cape very well knows that as well.
And Farmington obviously coming off the big rally win against St. Dominic. You wonder sometimes about maybe a letdown week after a big win like that, an emotional win like that. So certainly can't overlook this Cape Central team if you're Farmington. Should make for a good matchup come Friday night. That'll be in Farmington, and you can hear it on AM 800 KREI. Nathan is going to have a good one, as we've been talking about for a lot of the show. Festus at Hillsboro on KJFF. It's going to be a good matchup.
Yeah, and I actually just now have to correct myself because I managed to get one thing wrong every week. It's actually Hillsboro at Festus. So nonetheless, should be a really exciting and fun matchup. We just talked about it with Coach Saharsky, and I kind of alluded to it. It was 39-14. Hillsboro went into that game 0-3 and walked out with just a dominant victory on their home field. So the Tigers have everything at stake here. They're off to an unbeaten start. They can move. They can clinch at least a share of the MAFC Red Division. Most importantly, they can get redemption for losing last year and losing big. So there's a lot on the line there for Hillsboro. It's about keeping the momentum going, about moving a step closer to winning at least a share of another conference title. I think it's going to be a really fun and exciting game. Just interested to see if the changes that A.J. Ofadale has made to the offense this year give them enough firepower to keep up, and then also, can they get Hillsboro off the field? Because that running game will allow the Hawks to, if they're succeeding, not just score points, but control the ball.
Yeah, should be a really good game. I'm looking forward to that one for you, man. That's going to be a fun matchup. I'll tell you what, Hillsboro's a good football team, man. And Festus, I mean, I haven't seen them yet this year, but I'll tell you what, that's going to be a drag down, a smackdown, drag them out, whatever you want to call it, throw down kind of game. So looking forward to that. And then our sports stream game is off for right now. We will find a replacement game for you. We are planning to perhaps follow Valley Catholic wherever they wind up. They were supposed to play at Grandview here on Friday. We were going to cover that game. Found out here today, this afternoon, Grandview is not going to be playing on Friday. So Valley Catholic is looking for a game. And Stephen Gabler is going to be on the call for that one. Do you have something, Stephen?
Look, all I'm saying is that it's not just tough for these football teams out there, man. It's tough for us out here, too. We're getting calls 2 days, 3 days before games, and we're having to scramble. So show a little love to the guys like Brandon and Chad and Nathan out there that are making it work.
Nathan was our MVP last week. Nathan's game got canceled Thursday afternoon.
Right.
And Nathan not only came up with a good replacement game, but did an excellent job calling it.
Forgot to shout him out on air, so I'll do it twice now. Eric Allen, AD at Festus. He made sure we were accommodated really well, and now I got to email him and tell him, hey, listen, you got some room this week as well. So, but no, they were great hosts over there, and we're really looking forward to obviously being there this week for a big one.
Yeah, it's going to be, well, we'll see where Valley Catholic winds up, but we will have a game on the sports stream. We will update you guys likely tomorrow sometime in the morning when we get confirmation on what game we will be calling. So those will be the games that we're broadcasting. Other games going on around the area. Potosi at Central. That's going to be a fun matchup between two, schools close in proximity to one another. Two schools that play each other often in all sports. The Trojans and the Rebels, man, that's a good matchup.
Before last week, it was going to be what a great defense in Potosi going up against this great offense. Can they slow down Central?
Yeah.
But now for Potosi, you wonder how much they rethink things. After St. Genevieve blasted by him. I know some of those were defensive, but your first two plays of the game, Steven told us, go for 170 whatever yards. So does Potosi retool because of that, or do they say no? What we were doing was working. We got to get back to that.
Well, I think that Potosi needs to look back at the rest of the game other than those other drives, and whenever those two drives didn't happen, the next 4 or 5 drives for St. Gen were nothing. Maybe 2 or 3 total yards. So I think Potosi's going to be fine. And if they can get back some of the starters that they've been missing due to quarantine and stuff on that defensive side of the ball, this will be a really fun one to go back to the defense versus the dynamic offense.
Yeah, other games that we'll be talking about here. St. Pius is going to be at St. Genevieve. Now, that's an interesting matchup after the performance that St. Genevieve just had, and it is their homecoming game as well. They were supposed to play Fredericktown. They fill it in with St. Pius, a much better opponent. That makes it tough for a homecoming game. But we'll see. St. Gen and Pius, that could be a fun matchup.
Yeah, very interested to see how the Dragon defense responds to perhaps its best performance of the year against Potosi. Now they got a St. Pius team that's not only got some really talented players like Nate Rubel, who's been just a stud in his junior season, but also St. Pius is coming off a shutout. Yeah, Kennett's a good football team, one of the best in the state. They came out rearing mad after they got shut out at Pickett, Arkansas, and they put a great performance together against Grandview. Kind of wonder if the same thing is going to be in store. It's going to be a question of if the Dragons will take that homecoming atmosphere and use it to their advantage and keep playing well on D.
Yeah, so we'll see how that one shakes out. But another matchup between two schools from our area. Pius is at St. Genevieve for their homecoming game coming up on Friday. A couple more games to tell you about. Agape Boarding School will be at North County coming up on Friday. Windsor's going to be at DeSoto. That's another one that Windsor, after a week off, they're going to be coming back motivated, trying to get something good going. Give Coach DeMatteis a little more time to scheme up something. But that's going to be a fun matchup between two North County schools. Two Jefferson County schools, excuse me.
Yeah, I mean, that's north of St. Francis County.
I was thinking.
Technically, you got it right.
My brain was close.
But and they're in the same conference as North County. But, very interested to see what happens there. DeSoto just showed so much fight this past week. And to add on to it, we didn't get a chance to bring it up in this story. Dominic Punjani, their leading rusher on the year, he was so instrumental in keeping them in that game. Took a hard hit to the head. He was down on the turf for about 30 minutes over the course of that Festus game. They had to cart him off. Very fortunate to hear from Chris Johnson afterwards to say he had movement in all his extremities. Yep. It was just that tingling down the back sensation. So while he's probably not going to be out there, I mean, to come off, in their eyes, probably their best performance of the year, and to have a fallen teammate out there to boot, I think they'll be motivated as all get to finally get that first W.
So see how it shakes out. Windsor at DeSoto going down the line. Crystal City is going to be at Kelly, another small school matchup there. Could be another really good matchup for Crystal City. So keep an eye on those Hornets trying to get their second win of the season. A couple more games on the docket, a couple of really good ones. Fox is going to be at St. Dominic. Chad, and you just had a chance to see St. Dominic close up in person. So what is Fox going to be dealing with?
It's obviously a tough. If you're speaking from a St. Dominic perspective, because we talked about how multi-talented and balanced St. Dominic is, so that's what Fox is going to have to face. But if you're talking about from the St. Dominic perspective, it's actually a pretty good time for them to play Fox. Fox and Farmington, one of the few teams that run the true triple option.
Yeah.
And so St. Dominic will now come off of a short week of preparation into a week that they really saw basically the same system that they're going to see this week. So to me, that makes it a very interesting matchup. Now, the other part of that is you have a Class 3 school, the St. Dominic. Fox now has been bumped up to Class 6. So, it's a game that Fox definitely doesn't want to lose, certainly you don't want to lose for any reason, but, another reason that they definitely don't want to drop the game.
Certainly. So that is one of the final games, the final game of the week. Northwest at Seckman, another good matchup. Seckman, I believe they're coming off a week or two where they were not playing 2 weeks, and so they get to take on Northwest. Coach Tenyus, Coach Bear, a couple of good minds going at it. What are you expecting from that one, Dave?
I don't know what was in the acronym for Be a Freak, but I hope part of it was resiliency, because maybe that was the R in Freak, resiliency, because I would love to see Nick Bear's team come out and bounce back from having 2 weeks off. The last time they were out there, they lost, so you got a bad taste in your mouth. That'd be great for them to go back on their home field and get a victory. Northwest, though, is in the same position. They faced back-to-back excellent football teams the last 2 weeks in Central and Fox, and came out on the wrong side of it. So motivation will not be a problem for these coaches. Those kids are going to be fired up, and that should just be a fun environment in Imperial.
Yeah, and those are all the games for the week. We have a handful of games or teams off once again, with Herculaneum, Fredericktown, Jefferson, and Grandview all opting not to play here on Friday for one reason or another. So those are all the games for Friday. Anybody, a final quick thought? We did have our changes to classifications here this week. A couple of big notes. Obviously, we said Valley Catholic bumped up to Class 3, District 1, where they'll be there with St. Genevieve, Fredericktown, Dexter, Doniphan, and Kennett. Central avoids the Kennett District in Class 3. They move to Class 3, District 2, where they'll face Central, Potosi, Owensville, Salem, St. Clair, and St. James. I think that was certainly one of the biggest things that stood out to me. Nathan, what about you?
Well, mine is not high school related. It was actually going to be a very quick promo, which is just to say that Missouri Tiger football does start this Saturday night. You can hear it every Saturday evening or whenever they play over the course of this shortened season on AM 800 KREI and AM 1400 KJFF. Don't ask about the opponent this week. Don't ask how the game's going to go. It's Alabama. We're leaving it at that. They don't know who their starting quarterback is yet, Mizzou. We'll leave it at that. Anywho, Mizzou Tiger football. If you want to tune in, it's there on KREI and on KJFF.
I'm excited to see what Elijah Drinkowitz does with that football team, though.
I love hearing Mike Kelly call games, plain and simple. I love the voice of the Tigers. So,
there you go.
Yeah.
So, also, yes, we will mention that one more time. But, Chad, any thoughts on the classification change?
Well, the one big one, too, is we wondered, if we were going to see a monster district that included Central Kennett and Valley Catholic. That was avoided, like you said. A couple of other notes. Farmington gets bumped up to Class 5, which means that you have the monster of Jackson in that district. Brandon, you did a full interview with Jason West. We'll have stories based upon that, and we'll have the full interview on the sports show on Saturday morning. But there are several programs in St. Louis that haven't even played yet. And in fact, Farmington has 2 programs in their district that haven't played a game. The district that district winner would play in a quarterfinal, none of those 8 teams have played a single game. So, it's going to be interesting to see how all that shakes out. So Farmington bumps up to Class 5. Fox, as we mentioned, bumps up to Class 6. Those were kind of my crib notes from what I took out of those district assignments.
Yeah, and talking with Jason West, the Mission Communications Director, he said that however many games they play, that's where they're going to be seeded based on in the district tournament. So Farmington, if they could at least play a full schedule, you're going to give yourself a chance to be higher seeded in that district. But as you said, it's a tough district. Farmington, Seckman, Jackson, Melville, Oakville, and Poplar Bluff. Farmington, Seckman, Jackson, Poplar Bluff. I don't know much about Melville or Oakville, but I know those other 4 teams are really good.
Yeah, well, and as you corrected me, I think on my vocabulary, there's an algorithm that the state uses, and you basically build points throughout the year. The most points are the 1 seed, the fewest points are the bottom seed. And so, as you alluded to, Brandon, the teams that haven't played don't have opportunities to build points until they start playing.
Standings are already in place. Points have already been calculated for the games who have been played. So you can go find those right now, which honestly, that's the other thing that's now at stake for teams on top of conference titles is that your seeding is on the line, and you can see where you are already. Festus and Hillsboro, for example, they're in the same district. That's a game that means a lot for seeding purposes on top of everything else.
Absolutely. Well, it's going to be really interesting. As you said, we'll continue to talk about those classifications throughout the rest of the week on all of our regional radio broadcasts and, of course, on Friday as well. But that is going to do it for us here on the Week 4 edition of the Kohl's Tractor Equipment Football Roundtable. As Nathan mentioned, you can catch Mizzou football on Saturday. Make sure you check that out. Coverage is going to begin at 4 o'clock, and kickoff will be at 6, and that'll be on AM 800 KREI and AM 1400 KJFF. So that'll do it for the regional radio sports crew. For Nathan Gertz, Chad Speaker, Stephen Kapler, I'm Brandon Pavlina. As if you missed any of our conversations, we're going to have the full roundtable posted shortly to our website, mymoinfo.com. Reminder, you can always check out our Hearing Care Partners broadcast schedule on mymoinfo.com to see a full list of all of our upcoming broadcasts here on regional radio. As always, a big thanks to Greg and Christy Cole and Kohl's Tractor and Equipment for sponsoring the roundtable. Big thanks to Amy Cousins and the entire staff at Applebee's in Farmington for sponsoring and hosting the roundtable. And a big thank you to you, of course, the listener, for tuning in and hanging out with us. For Chad Speaker, I already did this, Jacob Vincent, Stephen Kapler, Nathan Gertz, I'm Brandon Pavlina saying so long, be good, and please wear a mask.